stranger's mouth moves. The sound wave of the name Sarah hits your ear canal. It travels down the auditory nerve. It lands on the brain's intake desk. 1.5 seconds later, it is thrown directly into an incinerator. You smile back. You nod along to a conversation while a quiet panic sets in. You have absolutely no idea who you are talking to. You haven't lost your memory. What I've noticed again and again is that your brain simply refused to save the file. The human mind rarely acts like a tape recorder. It operates as a ruthless editor. When you meet someone new, you aren't failing to retrieve their name. The pattern tends to be that you never encoded it in the first place. Forgetting a name 3 seconds after hearing it feels like a personal glitch, a massive social faux pas, a sign of early cognitive decline. But drop the assumption that your memory is failing. Research in cognitive logistics points at something that makes this make sense. The evidence tends to indicate that the brain's intake desk is running a ruthless triage operation. It is sorting massive streams of sensory input every millisecond. The system struggles to warehouse useless information. A name isolated from context holds zero utility. It is orphaned data. The brain relies on supply chain logistics. It requires associative barcodes to route an incoming package. Without metadata, the intake desk rejects the shipment. It refuses to clutter the warehouse with unmarked inventory. Data without context is just noise. The brain is not designed to memorize noise. It is designed to build networks of meaning. It is 2:14 p.m. at a conference mixer. A man walks up, adjusts his glasses, and tells you he is a baker. He also tells you his last name is Baker. A hand extends. You grip it. You feel the brief, dry friction of his palm against yours. You notice a small stain on his lapel. You watch his mouth form the syllables. You hear the clinking of glasses behind him. You smile. The file is already gone. There is a specific logic to why the brain drops names but keeps jobs. We will get to the cost of that rapid security sweep in a minute. But first, stay here. Because 2 days later, you easily remember he bakes bread. You completely forget his name is Mr. Baker. The profession arrives with massive metadata. Smells of yeast, early mornings, flour on an apron, heat from an oven. It has a valid, scannable barcode. A proper name is just an arbitrary string of letters. It is disconnected from any physical reality. Without a barcode, the system auto-deletes the file before it even reaches your conscious awareness. If the intake desk is ruthless, the loading dock is a complete gridlock. You are at a networking event. You are frantically packing your own outbound shipment. You are rehearsing your introduction. You are making sure your grip isn't too firm. You are calculating when to smile. You are adjusting your posture. You are monitoring their reaction to your voice. The loading dock is a single-lane road. Because your outbound lane is completely jammed with your own social theater, the inbound name simply bounces off the dock. You cannot sign for a package when your hands are full of your own internal quality assurance checks. You are not absent-minded. You are overallocated. You're probably just holding a lukewarm sparkling water, completely unaware the delivery just crashed. You are too busy performing competence to process incoming data. This automatic rejection system was built by your brain's efficiency. It protected you in environments where reading the room mattered more than retaining a label. That was the necessary adaptation to the environment you were in. And that version of you was protecting something real. But here's what I keep noticing. The environment changed. The room you are standing in right now is just a mixer. The people who are close to you now are not those people. The automated sweep is still running. Not because the threat is still there. Because you've never asked the system to update its software. Habits can be examined when you're ready to look at them. And this is the part that I've thought about how to say this. I still don't have the version that does it exactly right. But here's the closest. The blank memory rarely looks like a flaw, but it isn't just a sign of high emotional intelligence either. If you look closely, it is proof of an elite, high-speed emotional override. You didn't drop the name because you were distracted. You dropped the name because you learned, somewhere along the line, that missing an emotional shift is dangerous. Missing a name is just embarrassing. When that stranger approaches, your brain is running a high-level security scan. It is tracking facial microexpressions. It is judging authenticity. It is searching for emotional safety. The intake desk sacrifices the arbitrary text label because 100% of your processing power is currently dedicated to profiling the actual human being. You are scanning for intent. You are checking to see if their tone matches their posture. You've made reading the room your primary social strategy, which means asking the system to prioritize a proper noun feels like betraying the exact radar you built to stay safe. Which is, objectively, a lot of logistical effort to spend on a 30-second interaction that might just end in small talk about the weather. But you know how this goes. The only way around the automated desk is manual routing. When the sound wave hits your ear, the pattern suggests the only functional bypass is manual attachment, repeating the name aloud immediately. Nice to meet you, Sarah. You give the blank box a destination. You are anchoring it to a visual hook. You are forcing the system to acknowledge the shipment. The automated system is incredibly fast. It is highly optimized. But manual intervention is exactly how you rewrite a routing error. You pull the data out of the incinerator by giving it immediate verbal utility. You force the brain to recognize the sound wave as an asset. And if the package still drops, if the loading dock fails, what I think might be helpful is to treat the admission not as an error but as an authentic compliment. I was so focused on what you were saying, I completely missed your name. This transforms a logistical glitch into a profound moment of connection. You are telling them their psychological profile was so engaging, it crashed your intake desk. You are using vulnerability to bypass the glitch. You step out of the social theater and simply admit that the machine stalled. If there is someone in your professional circle who constantly apologizes for this exact blank slate, you know what to do with this. The next time a hand extends, the intake desk will likely crash again. Not because you don't understand the logistics now, because auditing a supply chain on paper and running one in real time require entirely different processing power. And then the interaction ends. You check your phone or grab a glass of water, and it tends to be fine. It is mostly fine. And I keep wondering, what would it feel like, specifically, to let someone see you in that exact moment of forgetting, without rushing to hide the blank slate? The data was lost at the door. The person is still standing right in front of you.